Look at the public conversation right now, and you will hear two dominant stories about artificial intelligence. It is either the engine for an automated utopia or an existential villain that must be feared and regulated. Because of this framing, the most common response is to ask, how do we humanize AI? But asking that question centers the machine. It gives a free pass to the underlying architecture that is actively building it. The software itself is not the origin of societal harm. If you place a new technology inside an extraction-based system, the AI will simply scale those exact traits with breathtaking efficiency. It is an amplifier. For decades, we have optimized our systems to value statistical output over soulful input. Long before we started building machines to mimic human intelligence, we were actively training humans to act like machines. Trying to bolt an ethics add-on to the edge of an inhumane system is bound to fail. You cannot humanize anything born inside a worldview that treats human beings as disposable productivity units or data sources. If we want to survive this moment, we have to stop analyzing the software and start dissecting the historical blueprint of the industry shaping it. For the last 70 years, the technology sector has been pursuing artificial intelligence, but the methods used to chase it rely on an old set of rules, empire logic. Historical empires rarely introduce themselves with conquering armies. Instead, they arrive with branding. They promise that technology will solve the problems of scarcity and labor, offering a future of total liberation. Once established, they execute their first core mechanic, taking territory. In the tech industry, this translates to the mass extraction of raw data, digital infrastructure, and market share. To maintain control over that new territory, the system requires a specific psychological environment. It operates on the conviction that resources are limited, control equals strength, and any unpredictable human behavior is a threat that must be managed. The end result is a drive towards complete conformity. The ultimate goal is to reduce a vibrant human population into a predictable collection of data points that are easy to model and exploit. Once the territory is secured, the empire deploys its second mechanic, narrative control. This is where the myth of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, becomes highly useful. The tech industry purposefully keeps the definition of AGI vague. Instead of a concrete scientific destination, it functions as a moving goalpost. By keeping the language ambiguous, companies can weaponize the resulting confusion. They declare a high-stakes destiny, instill public fear, and position themselves as the only providers capable of delivering safety. But beneath that heroic public story lies the third mechanic, the labor grab. There is a sharp contrast between the stories of future prosperity and the actual foundation of the industry. The models required to build this vision rely heavily on human labor. We are seeing thousands of people performing data annotation at poverty wages, often unable to even take bathroom breaks. This degradation is a structural requirement. An empire built on extraction cannot function without a layer of invisible low-cost labor to process the territory it has claimed. If the current system is built on extraction, navigating this crisis requires a complete architectural shift. We need to move away from resource-hungry computation rockets toward human-scale tools that prioritize empowerment over data harvesting. This shift is necessary because an empire depends entirely on predictability. An algorithm can only manage what it can quantify. When we act like machines, the system thrives. When we act like humans, the system encounters friction it cannot compute. This is the sovereign polymath. They refuse to be reduced to data points, integrating philosophy, science, and intuition to see the whole web. By refusing to separate ethics from methodology, they act as an immune system, blocking the logic of extraction. The empire suppresses these outliers because their presence proves that a life outside the predictable pond is possible. Their sovereignty is the only thing the empire cannot automate or control. To reach this state, we must address our own internal architecture, a process called ego evolution. It is a profound transition. We shift from an identity shaped by fear and external approval to a sovereign existence capable of holding power without turning it into domination. The system was never the beginning of the problem. I've spent 20 years describing this duck pond architecture, the internal pressure to remain predictable. Now, as thinkers like Karen Howe have shown us, this same empire logic has become our global mirror. AI is simply reflecting our own choices back to us at a civilization scale, forcing us to finally decide what it actually means to be human. The mirror is clear. The era of the sovereign human has begun.